Haley, go ahead.
Okay, great. Get started with questions. And first question will be from John.
Hi, Sean. John Worrell.
John, how you doing?
Good. I guess a lot is being discussed about, a lot of the conversations about Josh Allen and how his elbow is. Can you provide us any update on, based on the report that was out there today?
Yeah, we're just going through it, still evaluating, and we'll see where it goes. I'll know more the next 24 hours, and then probably be able to check in with you guys back on it on Wednesday again.
Gotcha. So I know I know you probably can't answer this, Sean, but I know everybody is probably wondering, is there any expectation about what his situation might be? He said he was fine. He can work through it yesterday, and whether this could be, is there the level of concern, I guess your concern you have of him practicing Wednesday and of him playing on Sunday?
Yeah, the one definite thing I can tell you is we all know Josh and how competitive he is, and he loves to compete, loves to be out there with his teammates. So I would never count him out, but that's the one thing I do know about him is that right now the medical piece we're still evaluating, and I'll know more again for myself even tomorrow morning a little bit more, and then I'll next talk to you guys on Wednesday and I'll update you that.
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, sure.
All right, Sean, I'm not going to follow up much more on that other than to just ask you, I guess the report is that he's going to be limited in practice this week. Is it fair to say you haven't made that decision yet?
Yeah, I appreciate it, Adam. I know that report's out there. We're just taking it one day at a time right now. And again, I want to see how we are tomorrow and what the doctors report tomorrow and the evaluation on that. So
can you say if it's just a pain issue or is there something structural or muscular there? Can you characterize that in any way?
Yeah, I can't. Sorry, right now. It's just way too early right now for that. And again, I'll give you more when I know more.
What can you tell us about the rest? I'm thinking about Matt Milano. I'm thinking about Trey White, those types of players. Can you run that down for us now?
Yeah, so the one significant one, just in terms of new, I guess I should say, is Greg Rousseau from the game, high ankle sprain. He'll be week to week. And then the rest of the guys are really improving. So whether it's Trey White, Milano, you probably have maybe some other names on your mind, but those guys are all improving.
All right, and still the same approach with Trey at this point, like a day-to-day, or can you comfortably say you expect him to see maybe limited action this week?
I can't say that. We're just taking it day-to-day and day by day, and we'll see how this week goes again. And it's not like I'm trying to withhold information. We're just honestly taking it one day at a time and trying to work at a good cadence with each other here.
All right, thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, did you give any thought to challenging the Tremaine Edmonds, what looked like it was an interception that they called a reception by the Jets?
I did. Yeah, we were talking about that, and it looked to me like he had it briefly, and then the receiver, the tight end, 87, then grabbed it along with Tremaine, and then they both went into the scrum. And from there on, from my vantage point, I lost, they were in a pile and lost track of it. But the official next to me, when I asked, I said, "Can I challenge that?" And he said, "No, that's simultaneous action, right?" So they both had it. They're both, and he said, "No, it would not be a good challenge there." So anyway, that's we didn't have a good replay of it, a timely replay either, and they were going fast, and so when I got word from the sideline official there on that, that's why I decided not to challenge it.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
Coach, Mookie Hawkins, Waffle Sports and Eddie. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right, Mookie. How are you?
I'm good, sir. I'm good. Just here to talk about some of the things that wasn't toward your liking yesterday.
Well, the result, number one, I mean, and everything really that's most important is what got us to that result, what led to that result. And, we got to do a better job in certain situations. Number one, of protecting the football. It's hard to win when you when you give away the football. We've been doing it a lot. We've been sloppy with the ball this year. And that's got to stop. And then the line of scrimmage on the defensive side of the ball, when they're allowed, we let them control the line of scrimmage, and control the clock and get into third and manageable situations. You look at the quarterback rating between Zach Wilson and Josh Allen, and that to me says it all. And the game that they played versus the game that we played. And, I think we all know what type of quarterback Josh is, and we didn't do a good enough job putting them in those one-dimensional situations.
No doubt, Coach. And just get to talk about Terrell Bernard, the way he played in Matt Milano's absence.
Yeah, Terrell's a rookie that got his first start, so that was great to see. And I thought there were some things, obviously, that he wants back, and typical for a rookie in his first game and his first start. So a big sample size there, but overall, I thought he really did some good things, and I think the future's bright. And I know how hard he works and what a professional is already at this point in his career. So we're looking forward to watching him grow and develop here.
Thank you for your time, Coach. Have a great week of practice.
Thanks, Mookie.
Hey, Sean, how you doing?
Good. Is that I can't see it.
Yeah.
That's all right. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll say, you hear me okay though?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Just to clarify on the Edmonds play, did the ref tell you could not challenge because of the rules with simultaneous possession, or just like
he said that what he implied was they had simultaneous, whatever word he used, and he's like, he's like, you're not going to win that. He's like,
is he saying that like you're not allowed to via the rules, or is he kind of advising you not to waste your time?
Yeah, sometimes you get feedback from the sideline officials, like, hey, either they're looking at it in the booth, with the replay officials sometimes, or this or that. And in this case, the word that I got from the official, when I said to him, I said, are they looking at it? And he said, yeah, but they're done looking at it already. It was fast. Like they had simultaneous, whatever word he used. And he's like, I said, so you're telling me it's not worth the challenge? He's like, no, it's simultaneous, blah, blah, blah. So that was his words.
Okay. Separate topic. What was the thinking behind keeping Trey White out of the game yesterday?
He's not ready to play yet.
That being said, was it always the plan that you might activate him and then either he could or he would maybe be inactive for a number of games after that 3-week window was over, or after the time that you would put him on the active roster had happened? I'm
not going to get into all what the plan was and how it would work out, but things happen, right? So we knew it could be a possibility, yes, and it was this past week, and so we'll just continue to take it one day at a time.
So it's fair to say that then no setback has happened between the practice window opening and now, that this was part of the plan, or no?
No setback has occurred.
Okay. Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Good afternoon, Head Coach George Radney, Challenger Community News. Good afternoon to you, Coach McDermott.
Hey, good afternoon, George.
Two quick questions. One, any consideration of I formation or using Gilliam, the tight end / fullback, as a blocker to get physical on the run game, especially with the leaves falling now, and what's coming next, that snow and rain and high winds out at Highmark Stadium as well. Any chance of more of a power football running?
Yeah, George, you bring up a great point. And I know where you're coming from on that. Yeah, just overall, we need to continue to establish the physicality of our offense in more ways than one. And you're referring to a running game at this point, which is a part of it. Yeah.
And also with the chip block too, with him or also all the backs for that matter, especially when you got edge rushers, Sheldon Rankins, and people coming in at him yesterday, coming in at Josh for some chips and maybe some more diverse play calling, some screens and whatever you have to. They were already coming in. Screen plays, draw plays, things of that nature, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things as we look at it across the board, not just offensively, but all three phases. And, things we go back and say, hey, will we do things a little bit differently? And I think the answer to that is yes. Obviously, we got the result we got, so we have to pivot there.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Good luck this week with a tough Vikings team coming in.
All right. Thanks, George.
Hey, Sean, understanding this is hypothetical because we don't know what's going to happen. Since the addition of Case to your team, what has he brought to the quarterback room and to your 53-man roster?
Yeah, number one, he's brought a presence and a leadership from his position that I think is unique to him and only he can bring in his way, right? Just he's a veteran player that's taken a lot of snaps. He's won games and he's just got a great disposition, if you will, and he knows his place on the team, but also carries influence on the team in a unique way from that position. So it's been good to have him with us here.
Having a quarterback like Josh, obviously you want him on the field every time you can, but is Case the ideal backup because of the things that you mentioned and the fact that he has a proven track record?
We love having him here, right? Like I said, he's won before, and he's played in some big games, and he has a great rapport with Josh, and yet at the same time knows his role on our football team, and he's just been a great addition to our team overall.
Cool. Thank you, Sean.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, I was curious with Greg now set to miss some time, how big of a step forward has he taken this year, and how much is it a loss, to not have him out there for however much time he might miss with that high ankle sprain?
Yeah, we'll miss Greg in the time that he's gone. You never want players to be out due to injury or any other matter for that matter. But he was having a good season, and he still will have a good season. He's another young player in his second year that's improved and developed this year, and we'll see where the rest of the season takes us. Yeah.
Hey, Sean, obviously Josh, he's had so much success over the last couple of years, and he's had a couple periods, even, as recently as last year, where he struggled a little bit like any other player. You look at him in his locker after the game and it's that despondent look. We know how, like you mentioned, how competitive he is. What's it like from your perspective when he has a game like that? What do you say to him? And as a coach, is it something that when they care that much at the top, like the quarterback position, does the rest of the team feed off that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. When you care as much as Josh does, the players play for him. They love playing, on his team. They love playing with him in terms of whether it's at practice, on game day. He's a leader, by example. He's a leader in so many ways, by how he plays, how he handles himself off the field. And he's just, he just spends himself in a worthy cause. I think that's a quote somewhere of just like how intentional he is when he plays the game. He plays the game the right way. And he's very driven, as we all know. So anyway, it's great to have him on our side.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's all the questions for today. Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thanks, guys.
I think we just got to do a good job of getting them in the right positions to help us, make plays for us. I think they're playing their tail off, and I think it's just kind of sometimes the flow of the game and the way things go, how you're calling it. So I think that's a cumulative effort from all of us to make sure that we're staying balanced in everything that we do, whether it's play calling, whether it's spreading the ball around, all those different aspects.
Now, what about Dawson Knox? He has yet to really assert himself as a key member of the offense. What have you seen from him this season? And are there plans maybe to get him more involved as the season goes?
Yeah, I think, that's part of the tight end position is that, sometimes you're asked to do a lot of different things. And sometimes that'll affect the numbers of catches that you're getting and the opportunities that you're getting. So Dawson, I just believe he's one of the better, all-around tight ends in the league with what he can do from a blocking standpoint to a route running standpoint. And again, I think that falls into the category of we got to make sure we're doing a good job of staying balanced in how we're attacking defenses with our personnel.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Hey Mookie, we're having trouble hearing you.
Maddy, how you doing today?
I can't hear.
Hello? Is it me? Can you hear me?
Hey, Ken, it's Jay with the Buffalo News. You got me?
Yeah, I got you, Jay.
Okay, yeah, I think maybe Mookie was having audio problems, so maybe go back to him. I appreciate your time. Similar to kind of what Alex was asking there, Gabe Davis, he's got 18 catches this year. In a high volume passing offense, understanding that he missed some time with an ankle injury. What do you have to do to maybe find that consistency from him? Because he's had some monster games, but then some games where he's been kind of quiet. And there's kind of a roller coaster there week to week with Gabe. How do you maybe get that consistency to where you need it to be?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of obviously keeping him involved and making sure from a game playing standpoint that we're utilizing all of our personnel to the best of their ability in the spots in which they can make plays for you and giving Josh plenty of options. So I think that's one thing. And then Gabe is, go out and make plays and trust himself to make plays and do the different things that he's capable of doing and us giving him the chance to do so.
What kind of pressure does that put on yourself, put on Josh, and then also put on Steph when you don't have a lot of other pieces sort of rolling and Josh seems to be kind of maybe overly relying on Steph having to make plays for you? The three of you collectively, what kind of pressure does that put on the offense?
Well, I think what we try to stress with Josh especially is, once the plays are in, trust your reads, trust your progressions, trust your eyes, and where that read takes you, then that's where you go. Don't rely on any one thing. Don't rely on any, one person. And I think that's when we're at our best is when we're doing that. And we go through the week and we try to put guys in the best spots that fits them and fits what we're trying to get done. I think it's just part of the process. It's part of the year. It's part of the way that offense is developed throughout the year. And then you kind of pivot and you learn and you adapt as you kind of go, and you tweak some things to make sure that you're staying ahead of the curve a little bit.
Thanks. And then just lastly for me, sorry to monopolize your time here, but this is a big week for James Cook getting the chance to go up against his brother. Where would you say his development is midway through his rookie season, and what do you need to kind of continue to see from James as you guys go forward here?
I think the biggest thing with him is for us to see is just continue to make strides and get better as he's gone. I thought yesterday he ran very physical. He got some hidden yards for us after contact. He was good out of the backfield in his route running, caught the ball well, and had some good run after catch. So I think he just needs to continue to do that, continue to grow, continue to get comfortable. And I think that's a good little rotation that we got with that group of guys.
Thanks, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, good afternoon, Ken Dorsey. George Radney, Challenger Community News. How you doing this afternoon?
Good. How are you, George?
Great. Just
Good.
wanted to go right at it. Once again, I'm a running guy. What's going? Wondering if Gilliam, as a fullback or even a chip blocker down the road, might be an option to get more physical in the run game. Right now, it seems really weak right now, and not a physical type running game.
I mean, I think our guys up front play physical. I think we, they do some really good things up front to move the pile and create movement. But I definitely think Reggie's a attitude type guy that they can bring pieces to that as well. So again, it's just kind of, there's certain things that are plans throughout the week, based off the opponent you're playing. And sometimes you feel like it gives you a big advantage. Sometimes you feel like maybe it's not the best thing that week. So I definitely think there's a lot of merit to Reggie and the different things that he brings and the versatility that he has. And we'll continue to look at that on a weekly basis.
Excellent. And I went with Naheem Hines. I know you only had him in for really less than a week. So I'm sure you could get him involved in the offense a little more, and especially on draws, because that guy is he's small, but this guy's quick, and he does play with an edge. He plays a little bit bigger than he seems to. I didn't realize he was as short as he was, but as he is, he seems to play with an edge. Is that something you're looking at down the road to jumpstart the offense?
Yeah, I definitely think we'll continue to utilize him, and the more he gets comfortable within our system and what we do, I think the more we can expand that role. Obviously, it's pretty comprehensive when you're coming in this portion of the year, so it'll take time. And I think there's a growing curve there with whether it's as a pass catcher out of the backfield or a runner, or the different ways you could utilize them, because you want him to get the reps so that Josh feels comfortable and so that he feels comfortable in knowing exactly what he's going to be doing.
All right. Thank you very much, and good luck this coming week.
Thank you.
Hi, Ken. Thanks for some time today. We talk so much about this being a week-to-week league and, different opponents every week. So much changes week to week. And I feel like a lot of times fans, they really just dial in on whatever that given week is. And obviously, when you struggle like this, everything seems to be magnified. There seems to be panic in the fan base. But I guess I want to ask you a question to you. Is there any panic in the building?
I think we understand that, it is you focus on that week. You really stress the guys, focus on the now, focus on this day every day. And I think that's critical because so much, the NFL is a wave. It's ups and downs. It's good and bad, whether it's in the course of a season or a course of a game. And you've got to be able to weather those storms and stay steady and stay level and stay focused on the task at hand. And I think that's what we're really trying to do. That's what we really try to stress. And just in that game, I felt like there was so much good in that. Especially the first half, we just couldn't get into that rhythm in the second half to continue that. And, so I think we just got to continue to focus on us, continue to focus on the things that we have to do to continue to grow as an offense and continue to take strides to make sure we get to where we wanted to go.
And then specifically in the passing game, and you mentioned, some of the good things that happened early on in that game. You go to the second half, and it seemed like listen, they have a really good defensive line with a lot of good players, but what made it so hard to effectively move the ball in the passing game? And did you notice anything, particularly that Josh was struggling with in the pocket, or what led to maybe some of the struggles in the pocket?
No, I think we just, I know it's general, but we just weren't in a rhythm. And offensive football is about 11 guys being on the same page and doing their job and executing their job, and at times it's if one thing breaks down or there's one little mistake, it can affect the whole play and have a domino effect. So I think there was a lot of just, we just weren't in a rhythm together as an offensive unit. And I think that kind of, led to some of those things that stalled out some drives, because we had some drives going and, in in that second half, but we just kind of stalled out on some things just from a lack of execution, a lack of, making sure too that our guys were, in the right spots and giving them a chance to operate effectively.
Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Dorsey, Mookie Hawkins, Waffles Course today. How you doing today?
Hey, good, Mookie. How are you?
I'm okay, Coach. Just about pretty much everybody hit on just about everything, but the offense outside of Stephon Diggs is kind of like, it's up and down. It's rather inconsistent. How do you look to be a little bit more creative to get that balance that you need, other than the consistency production that you see out of Steph Diggs?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is just making sure that one of the things I'm a biggest fan of is when I look at the stat sheet and you have multiple guys with multiple targets. I think that's important. So it just creates issues for a defense when you can create multiple guys with multiple targets, especially when they're at different positions. So I think that's going to be obviously a continued focus for us moving forward, and that makes you difficult to defend when you could be multiple in those different areas.
No doubt. And on the flip side of that stat sheet, Devin Singletary only averaged around 8 to 10 carries. Other than your quarterback, how do you plan to be more creative to get balance in your run game? Because teams now are pretty much lagging back for the pass and pretty much not caring if you run the ball or not.
Yeah, I think that's all part of it. I think, Josh's numbers, obviously, rush attempt wise, were a little inflated with the quarterback sneaks that we had in there. So that obviously bumps his numbers up a little bit. But we definitely have to make sure we're doing a good job, with the backs and being creative in ways to making sure that we're getting them the ball and allowing them to do, some of the things that they do extremely well. And some of those run games where you're pulling it on RPOs and things like that affect those numbers as well. So we just got to do a continually focus on making sure we're giving them opportunities to do those different things, and us to be physical up front and get movement and create opportunities.
No doubt. Appreciate your time, Coach. Have a
Thank
great
you.
week of practice.
You too. Thanks.
Hey, Ken, John Worrell. Just, I guess, kind of along the same thing, but how much does this offense need to be a little bit more patient, because it seemed to be pressing, especially against defenses that are just taking away things deeper, and you might have to dink and dunk your way down the field more often?
I think when you look at the course of the year, we've been able to play multiple different ways. We've been able to play a possession pass game. We've been able to play a take shots game. We've been able to play a balanced run game a little bit in there as well. So I think it's not anything we haven't been able to do throughout the course of the year, and at times throughout the course of that game as well. This past week, it's just we got to make sure we're operating consistently and doing the things that, at the end of the day, it comes down to our execution. It comes down to us executing, and when we do that, we're very effective. And that's that goes all around. That goes from the coaching staff putting our guys in the right spots, and us going out and making sure we're doing it.
And I guess just lastly, not knowing Josh's status for this weekend, but should he not be able to play? What concern do you have knowing how Josh-centric and really Diggs-centric in the passing attack this offense is, and how Case can kind of make up, in his own way for some of the imbalances that have been inherent through the first 8 games?
Well, I think that's the benefit of having a guy like Case in the room is, he's got tremendous experience. He's been in multiple different systems, and he's got he's seen a lot of ball. So I think there's some merit to, having guys like that in your room that can come in and you got a lot of faith in to step in and operate effectively.
Thanks, Ken.
No problem. Thank you.
That's all we have for today. Thanks, Ken.
All right. Thank you.
can, Caleb.
Okay, great. We'll get started with questions, and Alex will have the first question.
Hey, coach, you only allowed 20 points yesterday. You came up with some big plays throughout the game, but on that final drive, it didn't seem like you could come up with that big play that you were looking for, a bunch of chunk plays in the running game. What went wrong on that final drive, and what couldn't you come up with there to stop the bleeding?
It's exactly like you said, just trying to find a way to make that one play to get them in a negative situation, and we weren't able to do it. We tried different things, whether it was pressure, whether it was just being an 8-man box. And for whatever reason, we just couldn't come up with that one play. And finally, we get to stop to hold them to a field goal, but they bled the clock and forced us to use timeouts along the way. But that was definitely disappointing that we couldn't come up with that play to put them in a negative situation during that series.
How about just overall your performance defending against the run yesterday? It seemed like whoever ran the ball had success. Is there any long-standing concern with your team's ability to stop the run, or do you think that this is an isolated issue with this week? How do you view that?
Yeah, I definitely think we can get it figured out and get it turned back. When you look back at what happened in the 6 weeks prior to the last couple of weeks, we've been playing good run defense, and we've kind of stumbled a little bit the last couple of weeks. So I do think it's fixable, and we're going to work as hard as we can to get that corrected. And our players feel the same way, our coaches. We definitely feel like we can get it corrected.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
Ready. Good afternoon, Coach. Good afternoon, Coach. George Radney, Challenger Community News. How you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing well, George.
Yes. Question for you: is it more like that the defensive front and the linebackers are overrunning the play? Is that what you're seeing on the film on these running plays? Because it looks like it's misdirection and trap plays seems to be the downfall right now of your defensive unit.
We've had some where we've overran the ball, but that's not the only issue. We got to do a better job of tackling George and being in our gaps. All is the same things that usually occur when you're not defending the run well. So it's not like it's just one thing. It's just a combination of things that we got to get corrected, and we got to work very hard to get that done.
And do you think I know you don't want to blame anything, but is it possibly the CBA with the new rules they have where you can't tackle or hit or be wearing pads? Because I know back when you played, you guys hit 2-3 times a week, right? You guys went live probably 3, maybe depending on how the results of the previous Sunday, maybe 4 times a week. You guys might have had to go live during practice back in the day. Do you think that's caused because it's not only the Bills, but most teams seem to have trouble with basic tackling skills?
Well, you're right about then and now. I mean, it's far different when it comes to tackling in practice. But no, I don't want to make that excuse, George. I mean, we tackle well early in the season, and we still work tackling drills during practice. We haven't gotten away from that. And so we just got to do a better job. And I know we will. We just got to keep emphasizing tackling and being where you need to be when it comes to gap integrity, using our hands to get off of blocks and shedding blocks. I mean, all those things that help you to be a good defense, in particular stop and run. We got to get back to the fundamentals of that.
Okay, and last question for you. AJ, you're on AJ Espinosa, his play yesterday.
I thought overall AJ did a good job for us. His snaps, he didn't get as many rushes as he may have liked because of the style game that it was. But overall, I thought he did a good job. He had the one play I'm sure he'd like to have back. We were running a pressure net drive. I think it was Alex that brought up earlier, where he was a little bit short getting into his gap, and they ended up creasing us a little bit. But overall, he did a good job for us.
All right, thank you very much, and good luck. I know you're gonna get things fixed up for this coming week. Take Delvin Cook and that whole crew coming in this weekend. Know you're gonna be ready, Coach. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Hi, Leslie. How are you?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, good. So journalists did some math a little bit. So the last 3 seasons, with Milano, you guys have a 73 winning percentage. It's 55 when Milano is out. I mean, how much of a difference does he make? Is it because there's really no weakness to his game? Do you have to move things around more when he's out? What's the Milano factor?
That's a pretty good number there when you hear it put that way. But he's a very important player for us. There's no doubt about it. He does so many things well for our defense, whether it's coverage, whether it's helping us against the run, his blitzing, his matchups. So he just does a lot of good things for us, taking the ball away. He's an impact player. But that being said, we have other players. When he doesn't play, you count on those guys having to step up and fulfill that role. Now, to the level that what Maddy is, that's a little bit different. But it's next man up. I mean, that's the mentality, and you count on those other guys who step in to do a good job for you. And I thought Terrell Bernard overall did a fine job yesterday. It's a little bit different when you're a rookie. You're seeing things for the first time. You're trying to get the game to slow down a little bit. So there were some plays he'd like to have back, but that's just part of it. But to answer your question, Matt, he's a very valuable piece, and those numbers say so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Coach Frazier, Mookie Hawkins, Waffle Sports 180. How you doing today, sir?
Doing well, Mookie. How are you?
I'm okay, Coach. I'm okay.
Good.
We just ain't, it's not Victory Monday, so it's kind of weird. But you win some, you lose some sometimes, But just tell us, Coach, what went wrong yesterday, and how do you plan to fix it?
Well, like I was saying earlier, Mookie, probably the big thing for us is dealing with the run game. That's what's been giving us a little bit of a problem of late. And, there's some things that we have to do fundamentally to get better and technique-wise as well. And we're going to work as hard as we can this week to get that done. There's no secret to it. There's no magic to it when it comes to stop and run. It's about being physical. It's about being able to tackle, getting population to the football, being gap sound, all those things that we did well in the first 6 weeks when we led the league in run defense. We need to be able to do that going forward. And we can, and we're going to work as hard as we can this week to get the ship turned in the right direction.
No doubt, Coach. And, on the flip side of things, we know the makeup where, you guys don't blitz enough because, like you said, you rely on the four-man front to get that pressure, that needed pressure. And on the flip side of it, numbers do indicate, with Wilson, when pressured, he's not that good. How much sometimes do the numbers dictate you to do things that you're normally not accustomed to?
They factor in. I mean, we have an analytics department headed by Dennis Locke that gives us some information similar to what you just provided that we utilize. So, we listen to those numbers, we pay attention to it, and then we back it up by looking at the tape. But there are times, based on information that we receive, we'll shape a game plan around some of that information. So it does matter.
Yes, and I know sometimes it matters at the right time and the wrong time, because sometimes you probably want to call a blitz, but guess what? Milano's not out there. And, sometimes it's just those trust factors you have. You don't want to put a guy in those certain situations, and then yesterday, Rousseau goes down, Ed Allery getting nicked up. So it's kind of like sometimes you want to dial it up, but you don't quite have the personnel. Do you find yourself in those instances as well, Coach?
There are some times where you have to be smart, based on the people you have on the field. I'm not going to lie to you. You have to be aware, even though you may want to try something, but you do have to be aware of your personnel. That's just a fact. And not to say that had anything to do with our not defending the run better yesterday or putting more pressure on Wilson. It starts with our being able to stop the run so they can't just throw 5-yard outs, a quick passing game. You want them in more of a drop back game, and that starts with being able to stop the run to force them into more drop back.
Absolutely, Coach. I know you'll go out there and get the job done. Guys will lick the wounds and, be ready to roll this week, Coach. Good luck.
Thanks.
Hi, Wesley. Obviously, you talked a lot about the run defense. I don't want to belabor the point at all, but I wanted to ask you specifically about Ed. In a game like this, obviously he's not playing against Quinnen Williams, but you look at quarterback matchups in the league, right? first round draft picks playing against each other. That gets a lot of the narrative, and people kind of like, really dial in on those matchups. And Quinton obviously had a big impact on the game. I'm curious from your perspective, breaking down the film, because just watching it happen live, maybe impressions, whether it be media or fans of Ed Oliver maybe not having a good game, maybe that's off. Maybe you watched the film and it was better than it looked. What were your impressions of his game? And in a game like that, do you need him to play a little bit better?
Yeah, I thought overall Ed had a good game for us. Maybe not the impact plays he's had in other games, but he was steady throughout, Matt. And it was a combination of what Ed did along with his teammates. It was never just a spotlight on Ed. I thought he did his job. He did what we asked him to do. We just didn't get the quarterback or get their offense in enough negative situations where we could really let our defensive line go because of our inability to consistently stop the run. There were times where we did do a good job against the run, and there were other times like that last drive where we didn't, and that cost us. But Ed, overall, he did what he was asked to do.
And I don't know how much you've interacted with the guys today, but is there like a general feeling of just being a little bit pissed off, like another game like that where that run question comes up again and you got to kind of answer for it again?
Oh, I think it bothered our guys. I know it bothered our coaches for sure. And, we got to, like I said earlier, work our tails off this week to get it corrected and just continue to move forward and learn from this ball game. That's the key, Matt, that if you can learn from a game like yesterday and don't let that be really the narrative that defines your season, then you have a chance to reach your goals as a defense. And that's the goal, to let that game stand alone and just keep improving as the year goes on.
Appreciate it, Wesley. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Coach, it seemed like they had quite a bit of success in the quick game. A little bit of maybe RPO, get the ball out of Zach's hands pretty early. I know that, there's some numbers of him being under pressure where it hasn't gone so well. But can you talk about the challenges of pretty much the quick game, kind of trying to defend that when you're trying to get pressure on a young quarterback, but he just wouldn't let you?
Yeah, you're right. So that definitely presented some problems because they were getting the ball out of his hands so fast. The only thing you can really do is get your hands up and try to get some batted balls, and that makes it a bit of a challenge. But part of that, their ability to be able to stay with that type of passing game, was our inability to create some negative plays in the run game. We did it on occasion, got them in some third downs, not enough third and longs, and that makes it tough. So we got to do a better job in the run game to get them in some third and longs so we can get after that quarterback, and that's part of it, and get them out of their comfort zone because they stayed in that comfort zone with a lot of quick passing game, as you mentioned, and that's not where you want to be from a defensive standpoint.
And when you have young corners and they're going through that, is that is that something you have to teach? The leverage has to be really perfect right there. The technique has to be perfect when everything's going so fast. Cause these guys haven't seen it at that level as much.
Yeah. The technique has to be so right because they're going to catch some of those little short passes. Now your tackling's got to be on point. You got to make sure there are no yards after catch. And then if we put you in a press situation, you got to do a good job to your leverage, on your leverage. And sometimes we did and sometimes we didn't. And that creates some problems for you when it doesn't happen.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Hey, Wesley, you guys will face Dalvin Cook this week. So what makes him such a good running back, and why is he so talented and tough to stop?
Yeah, I watched just a little bit of tape on him earlier today, Maddy, and he's such an explosive runner. When he gets the football, he can score from anywhere on the field, unlike some backs who may break a 15, 20-yarder. He can take it 80, 90 yards from anywhere. He's an explosive back, and he is a good receiving back as well. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, so he's multidimensional. They keep him on the field on third down. So he puts a lot of pressure on your defense as a runner, as well as his ability to be able to catch the ball on screens and other routes out of the backfield as well.
And then what about Justin Jefferson? He's a younger wide receiver, but is ranked pretty high in the NFL since he came into the league in 2020.
Yeah, well, he's a problem. I tell you, he just gives defenses a headache every week. Just I watched some of his tape earlier, and so many explosive plays, and people are trying to take him away, but he finds ways to get open, and their coaching staff does a good job of scheming ways to get him open. But he's an excellent receiver, really good speed, really good route runner, excellent hands. He's a challenge for sure. So we'll have our work cut out for us trying to slow him down.
Thanks, Leslie.
You're welcome.
That's all for today. Thanks, Leslie.
Okay, thank you, Kim.